Usually Kevin runs all this stuff for me, so hopefully I don't screw it up. You know what I mean? Because he's
Good.
actually really really good with the computer. I got some while we're waiting for people to join us, because I don't want to just I want to give it a minute. It
I'm
takes
fine.
people a while to find it. I see some numbers coming in, but let me play. I do you remember this when I was running for office? You were kind of a big friend, and at least offered me some opportunities to meet people, which I really enjoyed. But check
Yeah.
this out. Hot vent.
If you believe in liberty, you'll vote for Tim O'Connor, 'cause he believes in the Constitution. And as your assemblyman, he will be your voice. He'll never let you down, make him the choice. Hallelujah, hallelujah. We finally had a man who hears your voice. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Tim O'Connor is the only choice. Right in, Tim O'Connor, Libertarian, for New York State Senate, Senate District 51.
Ah, my God, man. That
I
brings back such good memories of all the good times we had
I
when
do.
Ola was running and we were making noise. We had a couple writing candidates. We packed your meeting place filled with people. Oh, brother, what a good time. And then, so uh, one of the things that we got to was we made this realization that we were kind of and by we I really got to give you credit. We got to this realization that there's a better way. There's a real solution out there that can actually be very exciting and very impactful. So I'll let you take this part. What'd you decide? Like you're not finding candidates support statewide. Where you're
So
still packing your barn, but what are you doing?
for me, after that race, your race, Ola's race, um, after watching, what went down the last time with Trump's race, I said, you know what? I see this here. If I can't help here, why am I bothering with state? Why am I bothering with federal? Don't get me wrong. The elections for me, it's my sport. I don't, you know me, I don't get into football. I'm not into baseball. This is
Right.
my sport. This is my World Series. It's like the Yankees versus the Red Sox.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
That's all it is. I mean, I love the new one that just popped up. Someone popped up, lock him up, Donnie Chump. You know,
Donnie Chump. Yeah, go ahead.
Donnie Chump. It's funny. I mean, the banners, it's just team spirit, man. And as far as I'm concerned, listen. Uh, a quick side note: my wife has been yelling at me for 4 years for the price of cream cheese.
Yeah.
It was 435. It was 586. It was 689. It was 795. It's now up to 899. And every morning when I'm drinking coffee, I'm getting yelled at for the price of cream cheese.
That's not your fault.
Well, it's one of those things where I guess don't ask me why she zoomed in on the cream cheese, but it's not just the cream cheese. You'll hear me reference the cream cheese, but it's everything, man. It's everything. It's
Yeah.
bread, eggs, it's milk, it's everything you eat. It's everything you drive. It's the it's the fuel you put in your car. You know,
It is, man. It is. Look, I talk about this regularly on the radio show, and when Kevin and I are doing our lives on Wednesday night at 9 o'clock, we talk about the fact that they're lying to us about the inflation statistics, that they have a basket of goods that they use that no one actually buys, right? So if we really dive deep into the things that we buy, chicken or beef, or in this case, cream cheese, sometimes eggs, even milk. These things are up more than the 21 or 24% that they're claiming. And so
it's it's doubled. My wife used to spend $500 every 2 weeks. The same
yeah,
damn, the same shit. It's 1,000 plus for the same stuff. No more, no less. I still have 8 kids. All right, maybe I got one more grandkid now than I did back then, but you know, it's the same stuff. She's not buying new stuff. She's not buying any more for any more people. And the costs are doubled. Um, I
Yeah.
I look at that. I look at that, and I got, I got my children. I got my grandchildren, and I look at these voters going, "What is wrong with you? What possesses you to want this for your children? How can you expect them to buy a car, buy a house, build a family with $9 cream cheese, $9 a pound cream cheese? It's just not sustainable, and they can't do it."
Yeah. Like, what did you think about for example, let me put it out there. Like when the longshoremen managed to like extract a 66% raise to their base pay. I was kind of like, I'm not sure that like they even kept up with inflation. Like I wasn't that
Well,
annoyed by
to be
them,
perfectly,
like
be perfectly honest, I think they honestly probably just caught up to probably the pay raises they were entitled or should have gotten to begin with. Um, they certainly might have broken even with today's cost and inflation.
right.
Today they can buy a $9 pound of cream cheese.
Yeah. So the part that I being a libertarian and a forward thinker, the part that annoyed me the most was that they were like, well, we don't want to be automated out of jobs. And I'm like, too bad, because that's coming anyway, regardless of what you do. But
Well,
I
damn,
understand it. I just didn't like it. You know what I
yep,
mean?
damn right. Well, listen, I actually, the minute I heard they were talking about it, I said, that's a beautiful move. I
Yeah.
I like the move. I like the timing. Not even Kamala's dumb enough. And you know what they did? They just put it off for 90 days.
Yeah.
Kamala, damn well, she said, you get your people to vote for me, and I guarantee you'll get every bit of what you want in 90 days.
That
Right
look,
to the
we have a system of bribery, like it's just like
yeah,
they're
yeah.
buying votes from the US Treasury. So it's just like this is driving me crazy for sure.
Believe me. And and I look at my neighbors, and I look at them and say, what the hell are you thinking? You're literally this was supposed to be Build Back Better. And her new catchphrase is what's it uh new way forward. You mean to tell me build back better needs a new way forward, and you're still gonna vote for that?
Yeah, it was the manufactured joy machine for a little bit until they realized that that's something that Hitler used to say during the Weimar Republic. Like
Right,
they turned that right down. Look,
right.
guys, my name's Tim O'Connor. I call myself the Freedom Variant. If this is the first time you're seeing me, Kevin Wilson and I do a libertarian podcast that gets presented on the radio on WYSL out of Rochester. Bryan and I have had several live conversations on Facebook in the past. We are presenting tonight the reasons behind the calls for his resignation. Like the town folks are coming after him hard. And well, not all the town folk, but a few selected individuals are pretty upset with a Facebook post. Now Bryan and I have collaborated on ventures in the past. Bryan is a magnanimous dude that gives everything to his community that he possibly can. He's sharing, he's caring, he's rough around the edges, which I love that about this guy. Like if I could keep him from swearing, I will have done. I've worked too hard, because he's just going to cut loose, and because he's a human being and he's frustrated. Earlier in the show, he was already talking about how he's not interested in sports. This political arena has always fascinated him. We've talked about how, if you're just tuning in, because I see the numbers are finally going up to where I want them. He's talking about how politics is important, how state level stuff is practically irrelevant. There's corruption on every level, and so he decided to do the right thing. The thing that we all talk about as libertarians and people that are loving liberty is to try to take back, or at least get to work and get your hands dirty in local politics. And guys, from the outsider looking in at this one, I'm just like, this is exactly like what's going on the federal level. This is exactly like what's going on everywhere. So to help spread this story, we need likes, we need comments, we need shares, And we need you to talk about this with your friends and maybe clip a piece of it and show it to your friends, because this is a great story. This is incredibly interesting. And we're going to get into exactly lots of details, guys. Bear with us with the details, okay? Because sometimes they take a little while to fully explain. Sometimes they take a little while, a little back and forth to get the details of this situation out. But man, Bryan is the right guy to do it. He has a remarkable memory for the details. One of the things that he does that I enjoy, but I'm going to try to help him with tonight, is he'll jump from one part of the story to the next and then bring in names of people without really identifying their role. And that's part of his passion. I want you guys to bear with it. And some of us, some of the people out here, Bryan, are going to know exactly who you're talking about because they're familiar with all the players. But in particular, the people that I'm talking to on Twitter are not going to know the names of the people that you're talking about. But I have a group of friends that are absolutely obsessed with the idea of bringing politics back to local, getting people on local boards, serving their communities, because as you guys are going to see, you can have a huge impact. Absolutely huge impact. And this is a show that's been a long time coming, Bryan, because we kind of lost touch. You've been busy with your work. I've been busy with my work. And you've been busy on top of your work serving on your local town board. It's wild, man. I'm so impressed. That's what I want everybody to take away from this piece of the conversation. So guys, my friend Bryan LoRusso, what do you say, buddy? How you feeling?
Very good. Very good. I've been under the weather the last year. Had a stroke a year ago, but that's better. And just Bassett fixed me up through a stint in my heart last week. So I'm back in the game.
Well,
yeah, you're right. I'm not a big sports fan. This is my sport. This, every once in a while this is my World Series. But years ago, I said, I can't really do anything on the federal level. I certainly we could try on the state, but you see how that goes.
I saw how it went. I saw how it went. People I was no threat to went out of their way to make sure I did not get access to the ballot because they didn't want to have conversations about how ineffective New York State government is. They just wanted to get a guy who, look, I know you don't like, but is relatively a reasonably nice guy overall, given the system that he's operating in. They just wanted to make sure he got elected. It was absurd. They don't want to have tough conversations, and they don't follow the rules. And they're really not cool. I want to be clear about that.
No.
I don't have a lot of animosity towards the dude specifically, but some of the things we found out about him, he deserves a little bit of criticism. That's for sure.
And to be perfectly honest, they created me.
Good point.
I literally got involved to get in it, so they can't lie, so they can't tell you what you want, what they don't, whatever they want to tell you, or not answer you at all.
Correct.
I ran to see this for myself. I ran to represent people the way I feel a representative should represent people. These radicals. Oh, I don't represent people. That's not true. Every time I vote for a Newtown truck, I'm representing to keep you safe.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I vote for the men to have better wages, I'm representing you to be safe. I want a happy crew. I want people to work in Hartwick, not make fun of it.
Correct. Yeah. So that's great, man. That's the thing. That's where. Do you remember our shows where people were coming on and criticizing you for wanting to run for town board to screw town workers? And it was like both you and I, even I'm a libertarian, and you and I are like, hey, those guys are way underpaid compared to the rest of the people that do this kind of job in New York State. Correct. And we absolutely have an obligation to fix that, period. They deserve money.
Listen, so the county was 20 years behind on their pay raises. They now caught up a little bit. They're at 27, 25. Yeah. We're still at 20. We're still at 20.
That's absurd.
And I'm like, guys, why is anybody going to apply here or want to work here at 20 when they can go to the county for 25, 27 and have a lot less duties and responsibilities? You want them maintaining your trucks. You want them digging up your water problems. You want, everything. You want them plowing the sidewalks, in the wintertime. And, you want them to take care of your green waste piles.
Look, rain or shine, those guys are out there doing jobs. And like to point your animosity at them is something that has always been a real problem for me. If you're going to care about your community, the first thing you got to do is care about the people that are working for your community. The numbers that you're talking about, I cannot get professionals to show up to help me with what I'm doing. We're as high as you are, mostly higher. Like those numbers are very challenging. Like they just don't. You have good guys, so you've managed to do something. So I'm good. I'm happy for that.
No, the boys are good. The boys are good. Listen, don't get me wrong. We've had some problems, but ultimately, I think they were. And Keith Bronson did a good job. He handled it like he needed to.
Cool.
So
let me do this.
Where do you want to go here?
Yeah, I want to play the WKTV. Guys, Bryan is a celebrity. So that's what I want to share with our especially our local friends here who already enjoy you. But I want to show you guys how Bryan made the news. All right. So let's play that right now, and we'll have a little conversation about that. And then we're going to dive into the real reasons, perhaps, behind this selective moral outrage towards a Facebook post. All right.
Comment period of Monday's Hartwick Town Board meeting.
Sponsor message, then we're back.
Oh my.
If you were under 18 when you appeared in a video or image viewable on a pornographic.
Bear with us, guys. I could not download the video, so I have to play it from the website. So we're going to have to suffer through their advertisement.
Website, including Pornhub, RedTube, and YouPorn, a class action lawsuit may affect your rights. To learn more about your rights and the lawsuit, visit www.victimimagelawsuit.com or call 1-888-897-1.
All right. I'm doing a great job with it so far.
Our own thing.
Drama.
Llama.
Gardening.
In the Waiverhood, there's a place for all of us.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
21 days until decision 2024, and tonight there are calls for a Town of Hartwick board member to resign following controversial Facebook posts regarding the race for the White House. It is your top story tonight. The calls came during the public comment period of tonight's Hartwick Town Board meeting. The controversy centers around posts made by Councilman Bryan LoRusso on his Facebook page regarding residents with Harris Walls campaign signs in their yards, posts which some residents have found threatening. They're accusing LoRusso of voter intimidation.
Neighbors need to respect each other's different political views and each other's First Amendment rights. In my entire life, I have never felt the type of fear I felt when I read Mr. LoRusso's threats. Engaging in voter intimidation and threats of violence most certainly creates an appearance of impropriety. So I am asking for Bryan LoRusso's resignation from the Hartwick Town Board.
You, Bryan LoRusso, have endangered a large section of your constituency who now feel threatened, nervous, and unsafe with your outrageous Facebook posts. Search your conscience and ask yourself, am I living up to the oath of this office I swore to God to uphold? That answer is no. I urge you to resign your seat on this town board.
Residents also called for the board to convene an ethics violation investigation regarding the matter. Councilman LoRusso did not respond to calls for his resignation at tonight's meeting.
Oh my God, brother. So look, as a free speech absolutist, Bryan, I don't want an apology from you. I don't want an explanation, but I'm going to give you the opportunity to offer it to the people who misread your intent with that Facebook post. Like, do you want to explain what was going on there? Because first of all, I thought it was kind of funny, a little bit obnoxious, but like, what are we talking about? Like, you're just like, well, we'll repay you for ruining the country. We're talking about inflation. We're talking about identity politics. The floor is yours, sir.
Right. So yeah, first off, did you see anybody's name, used in my post? Anybody's address? When I tell you I had a room full of freaks that literally made everything up they said in their heads. I don't know where they came up with threats.
I don't know, man. Like, I was laughing when I was listening to that. The first time I heard it, it made me laugh uncontrollably. And now I'm still there. I haven't gotten away from that. Go ahead.
It was Russia all over again. The Russia. Oh my God. It was insane. These people need mental help. They literally. So the best part is, where did you get it from? I have a feeling it was screenshot from my page with conversations with my friends to someone's page. And then they made up a story and ran with it. And not one person took a moment to say, wait, there's no one threatened here. What the hell are you talking about? Not one. No threats, no names, no pictures, no addresses, nothing. How about this? Maybe the explanation of that $8 a pound, $9 a pound cream cheese comes back into my head. Yeah. You are voting. You're voting for what we're in the middle of now.
Yeah.
What this administration created. And
well, look, hang on. I want to do a standard libertarian tactic on you right now, which is we're the smartest nerds in the room. I want to say unequivocally that the CARES Act and some of Donald Trump's spending helped get us here. Like, that's a real situation. And I don't think your feelings are hurt by me saying that. What do you think?
Listen, do I think Donald Trump went in and spent a lot of money? Yeah, I do. A ton of money.
He did.
He spent a ton of boatloads.
Yeah.
It's not just the spending though that hurt us. I walked in one day, I don't know, into my hotel room a year ago, 2 years ago, and I watched this administration on PBS, and I can't find it. I would love to find that PBS show. But the administration, his administration, Biden's administration, is on the TV explaining how they're going to raise interest rates to slow down this incredible growth. So this was around 6 months after the country opened up. All we were doing is catching up with the work they shut down 3 years before. They shut us down.
Correct.
The military literally threw up a white flag and said, "Go home. We'll see you when this is over."
Yeah.
To me.
To you. You're done. Your contracts are terminated right now, or put on hold until you can work safely, I guess. I don't know. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, there were lots of guys out there, lots of contractors, lots of companies out there. All we were doing is catching up. And we didn't have record growth. We literally brought our men back. Right. So they all went back to work. The ones I was fortunate enough. I was fortunate enough. I called down to Arlington. National Cemetery, and I said, "Sir, if I send my men home, I'm not getting them back." And don't ask me how they pulled it off, but they sent me a contract in 20 minutes. And I went down to Arlington. They handed us the keys and said, "Send us pictures. We're going home." It was us and the old guard in Arlington.
Wow.
I mean, wow. It's a base-wide. I did a cemetery-wide security job while they were home. So we didn't take a minute off. Didn't lose a minute. So all we were doing is catching up. And this administration goes, "Oh, we got to slow this down. We're going to raise interest rates." Raising interest rates when the world pretty much does business on credit just raises the cost of everything.
Yes, that's correct.
Everything. Because when you're borrowing money, at 2%, it's, you feel it, but it's not bad. Go to 10%, Go to 10%. Then it starts adding up. And I look at these signs and go, what the hell are these people thinking? Why do they want their children to have to pay for $9 a pound cream cheese and $5 a gallon in gas? What is wrong with them? So
Right.
here, maybe this is it. Maybe this is how I see it. This is how I see it. And honestly, the left should be used to this. Maybe everybody that has a sign up, I don't care who you work for. I don't care what store you own. I won't spend a freaking dime, not a dime with you. I'll find out who you work for and I won't spend a dime with them.
So isn't that just cancel culture in reverse? Like, aren't you just doing inverse cancel? So look, that's all well and good. I took from your post that there was a, hey, you guys are destroying what we think is important, okay? And so here's how we fix it. The same way you guys are trying to control us. Interesting point, Brian, if you would like that, I'd like to make. Your First Amendment doesn't seem to be as important as whomever's First Amendment that was making those complaints at the town board meeting. What do you think about that? Do you have the right to say what you say? Like, you were not like,
of course, this wasn't even on a public site. This was on a Facebook page that I run, we created, we run, we manage, So wherever they got this stuff from, the trolls out there screenshotting, and they'll take that picture, bring it to someone else's page, and then make up a story.
Sure, exaggerate it, right? They exaggerate things, is what I'm saying.
Of course,
yeah.
Again, Trump and the insurrection. The guy said, "Go up and protest peacefully." That's your right.
Yeah.
So that turned into he caused the insurrection. Once again, the Russia, collusion.
Sure. I love the discussion about January 6th and whether it was an insurrection or not. And I stand firmly in the camp. I'll make a blanket statement and let me tell you what you carry it from there. January 6th was not an insurrection. It was a protest. There were people that behaved very poorly and deserved to be punished for behaving poorly. So other than that, there was no attempt to overthrow the government. Believe I have never understood that only as a means for people to try to consolidate power in the federal government, to make a certain group of people look bad, and to particularly smear Donald Trump, whom I smear plenty, Brian. You know that. You've joined my shows. Like, I have lots of criticisms of him. I think my criticisms are rational. I don't lean on January 6th, but what do you think? Like, what's going on here?
Listen, they make up a narrative to cancel you, and that's all this was. You know, the interesting part is why they were there.
Right.
So years back, part of my campaign was that these guys were abusive. These guys are bullies. This board is obnoxious at best.
Yeah, hang on. Didn't they cancel, was it Freddie Coffer, because some guy accused him of being impolite to him or something like that? Wasn't that something that happened up there in Hartwick?
Some gay guy in town made up some story and the left went crazy on it and whatever. Yeah.
So that guy got canceled. So I'm just saying it's a successful strategy, right?
Well, listen, I mean, they can try to remove me and they'll take my $2,000 a year job. You're right. This is what I've pushed through so far. We liberated our fire departments out from underneath our board since I've been there. We have gotten the concrete that the fire departments wanted done for the last 3 years. That's now addressed, and they're going to get done. We have gotten rid of the green waste that was literally servicing the left. I mean, the left, they wanted their own green waste. Instead of putting a burn barrel in your yard, burning some sticks, cooking a burger and having a beer, they wanted their own green space. And that was going to cost, it's crazy. we have a completely Republican on paper board. They're all Republicans. I got one guy that goes, "Well, I'm a conservative Republican," all the time. This guy, you can go back in our minutes, you can go back in our videos. This guy literally one weekend, one month. I'm sorry, yeah, one of our board meetings votes to get our town a code enforcement guy because we have a sign problem. The next week in work session, I thought we needed a town secretary. We can't force our clerk to be there. There are no hours in the law books. They can't ask her to be there. So she has another job. So she's really not there much. You can make an appointment with her.
Sure.
But we needed a confidential secretary. Even, and I've brought that up a couple times, just to service the people. Drop off your water bill, pick up your water bill, get a receipt, anything, ask a question. No one's in the town hall.
Okay. That seems,
yeah.
Look, the government, in my opinion, has failed in one basic mission, and that is they all act like they're supposed to be in control when in fact the premise is they're supposed to be a service organization. And what I hear you say at the heart is that bring back a service organization. Let's have someone that can answer the phone once in a while. Let's get somebody to work a few hours a week to hand out the forms. Let's do that.
That's all I was trying to do, is get a part-time person there, maybe 3 days a week, a couple hours in the morning. That way, and I'm telling you, on social media, you got people calling out all over the place. When can I do this? When can I ask that? When I need, all the time. And then all they do is bash these people for opening their mouth. Like, how fucking dare you? You're opening your mouth. It's like, dude, just buy him a secretary.
That's it.
Give one of, even Bobby O'Brien asked for the board. So the best part is, one week this conservative goes yes to this code enforcement agency, and I'm gonna this code enforcement some person, because we have such a sign problem. The next week, he literally says on video, I'm a conservative Republican. I don't believe in growing government. Dude, you just hired the sign police officer last week, right?
Oh my God.
Well, the best part is with all these signs, and you can go to our video from last week. With all these signs, people are complaining, right? They're not to sign, they're not to code, they don't have permits, they're banners, you're not allowed to. We have laws. The code enforcer comes out and says, I'm not going to enforce these laws.
I love that code enforcement officer. Give him a promotion.
Well, here's the idea. Why did I hire a code enforcement person that won't enforce the code? So what happens? Our lawyer sits there and goes, oh, our laws are so outdated. We need new laws. You have laws. You have rules. So do I need this code enforcement agent or don't I? Because budget season's here, and as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to get rid of the budget. What? You told me I needed a code enforcement agent that won't do his job.
Yeah, well, like I said, he's my hero, but I get it. I get where you're coming from. Hey, you want to handle some questions for a minute? Go ahead.
Go ahead.
All right, we got some comments out there that I think are going to help further our conversation, and we'll have a little bit of fun with them. Jamie Vanderwalker is a libertarian. She serves on a town board up north somewhere. I can't remember exactly where right now. Or she may be a town clerk, but anyway, she wants to know where your town clerk is if no one's at the town hall. Isn't that a good question?
She works for REA Electric, 8 hours a day.
Okay. So
8 hours does not come to work. You can watch our last Zoom meeting. You can make an appointment with her. You can get her on social media, on message. You can email her, give her a phone call. But Jamie, I've looked at your clerk book more than once, the New York State clerk's book. There's not a minute of time you need to spend there. Is it the right thing to do? I don't know. That's up to your constituents next time that vote you in or not. You know, and she chooses her own hours and how I don't blame her. I don't blame her, you know,
Yeah.
that she needs to feed her family. Do I think she should come up with a couple hours during the week and just put it out there? Yes, I do, but that's just my opinion. Me as a board member cannot legally ask her for 1 minute of time.
Okay. All right. So that's that. Again, we've moved away from government as a service organization to government as a no-show job organization. And look, no slights necessarily offered towards the person who apparently was elected
No.
to the seat. Like, that's fine. It's just there's a reality here where you're supposed to be serving the community you're getting paid from. And again, I'll go back to when we were talking about local politics. I think all of our town board members are drastically underpaid. I think that to control your budget, you need to pay your local people who are taking care of you, who are servicing these budgets, more money. Like, that's a local politics kind of thing. Like, or do away with all of them and pretend that they don't exist, and we just figure out how to get along better. But that may not work. Timothy Shaw gives you a black mark for cussing, Brian.
For me, wait. All right, thanks.
Yeah. But he's keeping an eye on you. He's trying to keep you honest.
I'm trying to keep it. I'm trying to keep it cool.
You're doing fine, bud. You're doing fine.
You know, for me, listen, I give my salary right to our homeschooling group for the kids. I've already donated to the town more money than my salary is. I don't believe that a public service should be paid. If you want a service, if you want to help people, then help them. Once money gets involved, it gets really nasty. And I look at it like we used to call it you're a public servant.
Correct. We used to call it that.
Well, I still do, and I still look at it that way. You know, we have a daycare program we run, and I donated $1,000 back to that. You know, so you know, anyway, I donated the money because our town continues to lose money for other towns' children that don't pay in our tax bracket.
Oh, so people are taking advantage of a daycare program that you guys offer from different area. Okay, great.
Yes,
yeah, that's fine.
And I argued, you know, that how can we charge $70 for a month, collect $4,200, and pay the one lady, the administrator of the program, $6,500.
Wow.
You're knowingly losing my neighbor's money, and you're voting for this. And and I voted no. I had the liberals in there going, "Oh, how dare you? There's no amount of money we should spare on our kids." Okay, then let's raise it to 125 a week. Oh, that's too much. What?
That's cheap. Okay, if the people are going to go pay for daycare other places, it's I think around $300 or $350 per kid. So,
well,
$100 a week is pretty cheap. 125.
No, it's $70 a month.
What?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very nice.
Well, so here's the whole thing. My job is to protect you. My job is not to babysit your kids. Number one, and certainly not to babysit your kids and lose my neighbor's money.
I agree that the scope and scale of government has grown far beyond what it's supposed to be. And I think that's where you're going.
It does not belong. And, you know, I even argued with him, let's raise the price. Oh, who's that?
That's Joanne Gardner. I believe she was in some crosstalk with Margaret Shannon Seamer. And
I believe she was the one that made the comments in our board meeting.
Okay. Well, I apologize if she has a Amendment and you don't, but I'm clearly going to share my First Amendment with her because that's the right thing to do. Okay. So thanks, Joanne, for your comment. I think it's important that you're here. We'd love to have a conversation with you down the road. Let me know if you're interested. Thank you very much. For real, thank you very much, because like this is an unfriendly atmosphere for her. She's here to kind of observe. I'm sure she's going to try to take something away from this to damage you, but
Right.
but we'll see. Like we'll see. Perhaps we can let the healing begin here, Brian. You know what I mean? Maybe we can figure things out.
They're entitled to whatever they want to make up in their mind. That's their freedom of speech. That's their First Amendment. They can make up whatever story they want. There were no
Yeah.
threats. There
Right,
were
right. And look,
not threats.
let's give her the benefit of the doubt that she presented a valid argument, okay, or a valid position. It's one that on its face I reject, but she definitely has the right to say it, and I think you're a kind of guy that understands that, right?
I have no problems with it. And it's funny how the news said I had no comment. So there's two rules. There's two rules in I don't know, Robert's Rules of Law, whatever it is. There's two rules. If we're going to do public comment, I'm not allowed to make a comment back.
Right. It looks petty, right? There's the Robert's Rules of Order.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's two ways you can do public comment. One, the public can comment, or two, there's no comment. You got something to say, send an email.
Right.
That's it. There's two ways of doing that by law. So I wasn't allowed to make a comment. That I would have been more than happy to explain that we are a nation of laws and not feelings. So
fair enough.
My apologies if she listened to someone that wound her up and got her scared, but it wasn't me.
Right. Somebody exaggerated your intent, and that's our theory, Joanne. So someone exaggerated your intent of your Facebook post, and that's fine. All right. So look, Brian, I think let's get into the meat of this. One of the potential reasons why you're a guy that makes news, and why guys out there on Twitter and those of you listening, and I want people to be inspired to do what Brian did because of the next piece of this story, what he's uncovered, what he's working on, what he's seeking to improve for the town of Hartwick, which is one of the rapidly growing little communities in upstate New York because of tourism. Okay, like it actually has a budget to work with. There's actually things going on there, and Brian is in the right place at the right time, doing his best, like to serve his local community. Okay, like so let's have a little conversation about some of I'm reluctant to call it corruption, but let's call it corruption ostensibly. So what's going on in the town of Hartwick? What perhaps triggered some of this animosity towards you?
So basically that night we were supposed to have a report back. And the report was in regards to Mr. Chris Briggs and his physical abuse down at the town road crews, the town road crew.
Okay.
I'm gonna go back years. Years ago, I ran for town supervisor, and it came to my attention our pastor's wife got pinned down in a room and berated because she wanted to talk about creating some kind of local laws or something or another with local trailer parks.
Okay.
Apparently, Mr. Briggs took that the wrong way and absolutely berated her in front of her son. And
so there's a witness. This isn't something she just made up. This isn't an attempt at cancel culture against Mr. Briggs. Then
another coward board member there too, from what I understand.
Okay.
Up for her. There was another incident. Who happens to be my assistant today, Sarah McGuire. Sarah McGuire used to be the town clerk. until she got bullied and berated by Mr. Briggs in a room.
Okay.
For not wanting to attend his water meeting, which, by the way, he was not allowed by law to ask her.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
Right.
you made that clear earlier, right?
Once again, there's not a minute in the rule book, not 1 minute that we can insist on anything by law. So we have Sarah, we have Mrs. Sell. So for the past 3.5 years, the towns had $350,000 worth of federal FEMA money. We were promised $800,000 by FEMA, and it was committed. They gave us $350,000 for small projects. 3.5 years, not one of those projects are done. Not one.
So let me ask you, the 350,000 was like, as a contractor, you get a deposit for a job to like startup money to pay for materials and stuff like that.
No, it wasn't seed money. They broke down all these tasks in multiple phases. They call them smalls and bigs. We have one big job that, it's the repair of a bridge. And then a whole bunch of smalls, and then another job that they combined into bigs.
Okay. So the $350,000 was a prepayment for work that the town needed to get fixed because of a disaster like that Halloween thing.
2019, rainstorm during Halloween.
Okay.
So Fred Coffer, before he left, he wound up securing the money for the town, and they voted him out over some stupid whatever. They voted him out.
Correct.
And so they get the money and they're sitting on it. So when I get here, Bobby, our supervisor, puts me on this road committee with Chris Briggs.
Okay.
I spent 3 months and 3 meetings with him, hearing how, Rusty Streesy was horrible, how Fred Coffer was horrible, how Jerry Wood is horrible. Everybody's horrible but him. And I keep saying, dude, we're management. If you couldn't get this to work, something's wrong with you, not them. Long story short, we went through. Jerry Wood resigned. TJ Wellman, he took the Jerry Wood's place because TJ was Jerry's deputy. TJ couldn't handle the abuse. He walked away. And Keith Bronson, kid I didn't know, I never met him before. He's a good boy. I figured, let's give him a chance. I know he's a hard worker. I know his name from around town.
Yeah, he's a great kid.
He's a great kid. But I had a conversation or two with him beforehand. So he's a great kid. I think he certainly was worth giving a chance. So apparently one morning we vote him in. We vote him in our executive session. We accept Keith for the time being. Yeah. Mr. Briggs goes down to the town hall, calls Keith Bronson, and says, Keith, you need to sign off on these P4s. They're called P4s. They're a FEMA form that says the job is complete, certifies the job is complete. Now, I'm quite certain you can ask some of these road boys. I said to them, under no circumstance, even if Jesus himself came down and said, sign those P4s, you don't sign them. You do not sign them until you verify the work is done. I couldn't get anybody to give me an answer. No one knew the condition of these jobs. I've been through 2 supervisors in 6 months. Superintendent.
Two supervisors in 6 months.
Jerry.
Look, that's saying something. There's something to have a job like that people are making a decent living at, that's saying something. So please carry on. I wanted to add a point of emphasis there.
Well, so we get, so basically the morning goes on. I had an appointment with a contractor down there because the board wanted me to go get a price for something else that I didn't really need a price for. We were well within our purchasing limits, but we had to get a price, so I was there.
Right.
So
Doing your job.
Doing my job.
Yeah.
Doing my job that actually Mr. Briggs insisted upon, in the work session. So long story short, I'm down there with a contractor. I walked in just to get a budget number to show everybody that we were well within our budgets and our well within our purchasing limits. And I must have missed the email, but Keith Bronson was requested to sign those P4s. And Keith took it upon himself, and I think he did the right thing, to write an email to Mr. Briggs saying, I can't sign off on the P4s. I can't tell you if they're done or not. So Mr. Briggs he's apparently mowing somewhere because he's got his trailer attached to his truck, gets in his truck, goes down to the building, kicks a chair, yelling and screaming, tried to slam a door that had a door closer on it, broke the hinge off the door, and goes into.
You're doing a great job. You're like painting a picture in my brain of this big burly dude
Yeah. Listen, Mr. Briggs, he's a 6 foot something scruffy guy.
All right.
Whatever. He could be intimidating, certainly to a woman.
Right, right.
So, and starts poking this kid. So long story short, I walked into the building. They didn't know I was outside with a contractor. I walked in and I hear Chris Briggs screaming in the phone, Bobby, what the hell do you want me to do? Apparently, Bobby O'Brien got wind that this was going on. This abuse was going on, and I didn't know it at first. I didn't know what happened until I got back because there were witnesses to this. The police were called. The police were called. A police report was done. So this spreads like wildfire throughout town. In 24 hours, I have 3 former road superintendents signing a written document of complaint, abuse. I've shared it on my social media. I'm surprised all these little trolls haven't shared it with all their pages.
They don't want the truth, right? Like that's arguably because based on our past history of having conversations, they were in the comment section. And look, I think I want to point out again, Joanne seems to be holding her own in the comment section. I'm happy that she's here. I'm actually kind of impressed that she's here and she's not just simply trolling. So let's do our best to be nice and welcome her to our community. You know what I mean? Like maybe that's something that she needs. But go ahead with your story. Sorry, bud.
Maybe she can learn something about the town. So now this spreads like wildfire. I literally get 3 previous road superintendents filing a written complaint. 3 of them, 1 complaint, all 3 signatures.
Wow.
This brings up hard feelings for Sarah. Sarah writes her complaint and gives it to me as a town board member.
Good.
Mrs. L, the same. And Sarah found in her old files a written complaint from a town bookkeeper, Bryan someone or another, I don't remember his name, guy I never met, who literally resigned because of the hostile environment at the town hall.
Imagine that.
I've posted every one of these things. So what I ask is this: why was Mr. Briggs so adamant about this kid committing fraud and signing a federal document? He coerced this kid that was on the job for 6 days to literally commit fraud and sign that paperwork. In business, a telltale red flag sign is for when your employee doesn't go away, doesn't go on vacation, doesn't let you help, doesn't let you involve with what they're doing.
Especially if they have a lot of autonomy and they're handling money themselves, right? Like I was a business guy, you're a business guy. There's a certain amount of absolute openness that you need from everyone you're involved with, or you have reason to suspect them of cooking the books,
Well,
lining their pockets. I don't know what I'm just saying this is a suspicion. I'm not trying to make a particular accusation
no,
at the
neither
moment.
am I. But I have to tell you, the thought has crossed my mind 100 times since this incident.
Yeah.
What did you need to go down there and kick chairs, start cursing, break doors, poking this kid? Why? You know,
Honestly, I know that kid. I think
the worst
we're lucky
part.
it didn't go worse. We're lucky.
Yeah, tell me about it. Tell me about it. If, to be perfectly honest, yeah. In my opinion, Briggs is lucky fucking Keith didn't rip his head off.
Well, we don't want to encourage that sort of behavior, but fighting words are fighting words, and aggressive
Well,
behavior is aggressive behavior.
you're still
Period.
allowed to defend yourself when you're being poked and kicked. You're cursed at. When chairs are flying across rooms and people are breaking doors, you're allowed to defend yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I walked into that and I knew that I didn't know what was going on, but the tension was really high.
Okay.
I talked to Keith afterwards. I had messages on my phone. Did you hear what happened? Do you know what's going on? Briggs lost his mind. He's down here kicking chairs, poking Keith. I mean, I didn't know any of it because I had walked in there with a contractor. I was there to do something else.
Right.
Anyway, so I really have to wonder, is he that stupid, or was he trying to literally get this kid to commit fraud?
Well, let me steel man his side here. What he's frustrated with, and you tell me what you think of me interpreting his actions. All right. What he's thinking of here is that the next money from FEMA won't become available until these jobs are done. And he's advocating to get this money. That's all his real concern is. They've worked on these projects. Maybe they're done. Maybe they're not done. Maybe they're partially complete. But this money's been hanging out there for a while. And we're going to lose access to the next $500,000, which the town could really use for infrastructure improvements. What do you think? Like, it doesn't really go ahead with that. I don't know. Run with that. See, come back with argue that.
Well, so from what prior to this incident, Keith and I met with FEMA.
Okay. Oh, all right. I like it.
I knew that these jobs were in jeopardy. I mean, the feds only give you money for a certain amount of time, and then
Correct.
they say, use it or give it back to us. So I knew that there was some question. I also knew Mr. Briggs was looking for another $500,000. Wanted hands on that. So I called in FEMA to get an idea what was going on. I didn't really have a good picture of all the jobs. I didn't have a good picture of their condition or the percentage done. I was being told P4s were being ready to sign, and we had them done. And FEMA comes in. Keith and I sat with FEMA for 7 hours to go over grants portal, where we're at, so on and so forth, just to get an idea. We open up grants portal. The jobs that everybody was telling us were done, there were multiple parts to it. They weren't done.
Oh boy.
I couldn't get an answer from anybody. I couldn't get an answer from the guys that were there. Where do we stand? Well, I don't know. And FEMA's going, I don't know where you guys are coming off asking for more money. You ain't getting more money until you do something. Right.
Like finish the jobs.
Well, the best part was FEMA was going to the point, you got to do these jobs anyway, because they're now all recorded as deficiencies, and you're on notice.
Oh my God. All right.
Right.
Poor Keith. No wonder you're losing town supervisors. Like, if no one wants to sign their name to a fraudulent document, no matter who pokes them in the chest and who breaks a door, nobody wants to do that ever.
Right. So at this point, I've got all these complaints. I've got this kid that's trying to do good. By the way, they did return to 4 projects and complete them. They have completed them and they're signed off. My assistant and myself, listen, You all know I'm a federal contractor for 20 years.
Right.
I know how the federal government works. So I jumped in.
Oof.
I jumped into the paperwork, worked with Sarah. I went out and bought him a Pendaflex folder for organization. We printed out
Nice.
all the tasks. We gave him a little suitcase to carry all the paperwork around, organized everything. We had to file for extensions. The extensions were filed wrong. So FEMA requires you to file an extension per task. What'd the town do? Well,
Ignored it.
no, they actually filed one extension and wrote all the little numbers down on the one extension. You know what FEMA does? FEMA goes, yeah, I'm not paying attention to that.
Right.
They an extension per job. So, I mean, that was sitting, that expired 3 months prior. The last time they responded, I think it was January 15th. So it's now March, April. I'm just spinning up here to really figure out what's going on. That's when all these lovelies attacked my secretary for helping. So Sarah, I won't allow her to help anymore.
Right, because there's hostility and there's territorial disputes in these. Even at this level, there's territorial disputes. Am I interpreting that correctly?
Well, I have a real question. How incompetent has this board been for 3.5 years? Hasn't done any of these roads. Doesn't help. All they do is go, oh, it's Rusty Streesy. Oh, it's Fred Coffer's fault. Oh, it's Jerry Wood's fault. I have literally text messages from Jerry Wood saying Chris Briggs wouldn't spend the money on a valve they needed to turn my school on. I waited for water for a month. And he wouldn't, listen, this is Hat Jack stuff. This is Hat Jack, abuse of power, not servicing people, not, you got a water bill, I'm paying my water bill. Why aren't you turning my water on? All right, this is Hat Jack stuff. And I can tell you this, my lawyers are going to love him. And,
Good. That's great.
They are going to, this is a nation of laws, not feelings. No one was threatened, yet they're all there. Did anybody hear about this report during the meeting?
No, they didn't get to. There was a distraction, right?
We started the meeting. Usually, by the way, also the rules are at the end of the meeting, you open the public meeting for comments. They started it with comments.
Oh, really? So
they had the sheriff's department there, a pizza party. Someone bought pizza. I'd love to know who bought that pizza.
So you okay? So what I want to, what you're alleging, I want to explore because I think it's important. There looked to be a concerted effort to get a number of people to attend.
Oh yeah,
and throw these things in your face. Now that had to happen. Other board members, Bryan, perhaps had to be involved in this.
I tend to think the newspaper and Channel 2 News. I think they were there. I think Bruce Marcuson used his weight of Cooperstown Hall of Fame and called in a favor. He's already openly said he's got a hook at the newspaper right at a board meeting. We can go back to those videos too.
Oh yeah, that's something interesting, guys. If you want to check out the Hartwick Town board meetings to verify what Bryan's saying is accurate, feel free to do that. I'm presenting Bryan because he's a friend of mine, and I know him to be a guy that presents the truth. So what I want to be clear about here, Bryan, is when we're talking to people about how to serve in local politics, I think you're onto something here, that you are finding inefficiencies, incompetence, probable corruption, likely corruption, physical intimidation, and I think that is absolutely fantastic to have a conversation about. I think it's great that you made news 1 minute and 23 seconds on WKTV, and yet we have more people watching this presentation right now than ever watch WKTV. We're up to about 100 viewers right now. I'm telling you, it's a big deal. Nobody watches these news shows anymore, and they would never get the detail they would try to cherry pick some sort of comment out of a 20-minute interview and make you look like a fool so they could sell advertising. And so,
You want to know what bothers me? You want to know what bothers me?
sure.
So now the board decides that they voted. I voted no again. I voted no to this $260 an hour labor lawyer for Briggs. I voted them no for me, because apparently they're going to go after me for my First Amendment. And good luck with that. My lawyers will eat them to shreds.
Right.
To the point I'm probably going to sue the shit out of them.
I
lawyers, I said, all right, so really you can't sue people for their First Amendment. You ever see a politician sue another politician, or a board member sue another board member?
No, but I can't wait. I can't wait.
Oh yeah. So wait, I got a lawyer that literally, I said, you're going to recommend spending my neighbor's money on my First Amendment? Here, how's this, guys? I did it. I said it. It's my social media. I'm guilty. What are you going to spend $260 an hour for? To hear, yes, I'm guilty. I said it, and it's on my social media, and it's my First Amendment. How dumb is
that? That's apparently, look, that's cancel culture in a nutshell.
You got
and I want to stand against cancel culture. It's hard for me to not be sympathetic to conservative cancel culture, but cancel culture from conservatives is practically as real as cancel culture from liberals. I know it's response oriented, but I want a better path forward. I still say you're absolutely on the right track. And so there was some conversation here that we've had about a labor lawyer report about Mr. Briggs.
So now the town, you're all welcome to foil it.
Foil it. Okay, good. Let's talk about that, because if I recall from our conversation ahead of the show, they took that report into executive session. What did they gain from taking that report into executive session?
Well, it keeps everybody from hearing what was in it.
Oh, very interesting. So,
right. I have a question. Why is a labor lawyer good for me and good for Briggs? And they did this with Freddie before. Why didn't they ever do it with Mrs. Sell? Where's Sarah? Where's Sarah's report? Where is Jerry Wood's report?
Let me help clear that up, because you're the thorn under the saddle. Okay. This is why they're bringing the big guns at you. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. What if they're absolutely not corrupt and that this is all just incompetence? Shouldn't that still be exposed? You know what I mean? Like, shouldn't they still be talking about that?
And like I said before, is there corruption, or is he this stupid? I pick one. Pick one.
I'll pick corruption, because that's how I think. But that's just the Freedom Variant's First Amendment rights expressing himself. I do think they have found ways to nepotistically benefit from behaviors like this. And again, that's where we're at with government, that there is this closed unit, that these people serve on these boards for years, and that they find ways to serve something. Sometimes it's just their virtue signal. Sometimes it's just their personality needs to be like, well, I forced these people to do something, and so now I feel good about myself. So they're getting something out of this behavior,
I have a few questions, maybe too logical for some of your viewers tonight.
Not these viewers, Brian. Not these viewers. Go ahead.
I don't see any of the comments, so I'm not seeing them.
I'll put a couple up in a second, but go ahead.
Once again, who did I threaten? Did I name anybody? Who did I threaten? What was the threat? Was there any threat? Did I say I'm coming to burn your house down? Did I say I'm gonna, blow your car up? Did I say that? Did I literally threaten anybody? The answer is
and let me be clear. There's no way that you have any interest in doing any of those things that me, a bunch of our friends, we talk in a way that we talk. All right. Like
I
Still
ran
the
to
First Amendment, bro.
I ran to protect people. I didn't run to join their club. If I wanted to join the club, I would have went right to the vets club, to the gun club, to the golf club. I did not.
Right.
I did not join their club. I ran to protect,
Obviously.
and I have 7 written complaints, a police report, women, elected officials. And you don't want me to say anything? That's what they tried to shut down. And you know why I know they tried to do it? Because they had comments about how Mr. Briggs, they've known him for 35 years, and he's never been known to touch anybody, only to reach out and shake his hand and pat you on the back. Well, wait, who talked about Mr. Briggs? Never
So
in the
proof that there was some organization going on
yes.
ahead of this meeting with a goal in mind.
Big conservative Republican has a room of 75 liberals in there screaming and yelling about something they made up in their head that I said.
Right. Here, we've got some comments out there. I'd like to have your response. First one is from our friend James Vanderwalker. Private social media, wasn't speaking on behalf of the town. I agree. Good luck with that. She experienced something similar. She still got her job. So the attempt to cancel Jamie was unsuccessful. And that's the beauty of persistence, guys. You do have the First Amendment. You do.
You know, and like I said, what are they going to do? Take my $2,000 job away? I gave that back to the town in checks 3 times over.
Right. Hey, here's one. Margaret Shannon Seamer. If anyone is available or retired, Samaritan Purse is desperate for volunteers. While we're talking about this, Margaret, if you want some help and you want me to share it on this show, because like I said, there is a bunch of people, post a link or a way to contact you in the chat. I'll put it up on the screen. I think that's great. I think these things are a good idea. So we've got, again, I want to give a shout out to Joanne for being here. She's holding her own in the comments. Something about there was a lot of crosstalk on your Facebook post and you were encouraging some joke making. That is what what
crosstalk? Someone made a comment about that saying I called them cockroaches. So please read that to me. I did not. I believe the conversation was about the signs popping up.
Right. Okay. Yep. And that's fine. I look, she has the right to say what she wants to say. I'm not kidding. I cannot overstate how glad I am that she's here. Like, I really think that's important.
I'm okay.
Go ahead, bud.
You know, someone also said something about something about a militia with all the newcomers. I don't think I said that. I think someone else commented. I might have laughed about it, and I'm pretty sure what the newcomers were all the illegal aliens Democrats let into our country.
Okay, yeah. Okay, all right.
They
That's
actually
fine.
From what I hear, they turned that into my rental homes. I'm housing militia.
Oh.
That's fucking crazy. That's
right, well.
Crazy they are.
Okay, so
they need group therapy.
They're here for it. I'm here to help counsel everyone to a better and brighter future. That's the bottom line. Like, that's the reality.
Mr. Briggs to put some lithium in the town well.
Yep. Yeah. Here's Tim Shore posted a comment to WKTV. They never responded. Imagine that, Tim. I know what you probably said. I haven't seen it, but you're also a forceful advocate for the First Amendment, and much appreciated. So I think, again, Jamie, who has experience at serving in this kind of environment, if minutes of an executive session were taken and the matter is settled, then they have 2 weeks to publish those minutes for review. Is that something that they didn't settle the issue?
There's no minutes in an executive session.
Oh, well, yeah, if there are, she's saying.
There aren't. And you're right, Jamie. She has 5 days to respond to a FOIL and 20 days to provide. And I can tell you that they're probably going to try to stonewall people and not give it to them.
That's a standard governmental tactic. Even again, the amazing part of this is that we see this happening on the federal level where issues come up and then we don't get resolution for years. And they have an investigation committee like the church committee back in the 70s to call out the CIA. And all it really did was bury the truth for another 40 years. Like it's an amazing situation. So our buddy Tim Shore says executive sessions are for burying the truth. I'd say he's absolutely right. And like protecting the people that you're supposed to be serving from the truth and the reality of what you're actually doing should be a no-no. Life should be more transparent than that. And again, these guys should get paid more because they're not getting paid enough. So no wonder they act like fools.
The best part is the taxpayers bought this report. They bought this report based on Briggs's inappropriate behavior. Here's another question. So if someone gets abused, should I take that paperwork and throw it up, Joanne? Should I throw it right in the garbage, Joanne? Should I not say anything about your buddy, Joanne?
I don't. She's going to deny that she's his buddy. I want to point out that she's here to defend why she attacked you. I don't. Whatever, man. It's fine. What do you think? Our friend Warren and Shelley out there, they need a counseling session. I'm here for you guys. You know that. Brian's here for you guys. We can help with these things. Margaret put up the link to what was it called? Let me go back to that. I'm horrible. My brain's fried sometimes. Well, do you remember what it was called, Brian? The organization that Margaret's trying to.
I know. Yeah, some FEMA things.
Something purse. Anyways, guys, check that out if you have time to volunteer. I think volunteerism is a great way to go. It certainly makes the world a better place. So check out the link that Samaritan's Purse. Thank you, Shelley. There it is. If you can help with Samaritan's Purse, please do so. The people in North Carolina and the people in Florida, first of all, highlighting the fact that big governmental bureaucracies are not efficient ways of delivering goods and services to people in need, and that local communities can actually make a huge impact stopping misery and getting people back on track. All right. So check that out. See if you can help out with that. Thanks for sharing that link, Margaret. We appreciate it. So look, I think we got to the bottom of this latest round of thing. Are there any other things that, Brian, you've kind of done? I know there are because I've been paying attention, but go ahead.
During this half-hour barrage of complaints I got, I literally have some lady at the end of the night make some nasty comment that I yawned.
Well, it was a long meeting. My God.
I yawned. Yes, I yawned. I was tired. It was a long day. And I yawned. But this lady, by the way, and I'll just put it out there because I'm going to be sharing it. This lady is the same lady that stole a 92-year-old woman's farm equipment, Mrs. Thering's farm equipment, to the point she needed to be sued and told and because Henry Thering died, she was going to keep it. I have pictures of the farm equipment on her front yard. This nasty snot-nosed snit was breaking my nuts over a yawn. This pillar of our community, Big Briggs called her in a meeting. Go look at the video. Called her a pillar of our community. She stole.
That's interesting.
A 92-year-old woman's farm equipment. She had to be sued, and a judge tell her, like a judge needed to say, "Hey, lady, just because the guy died doesn't mean you get to keep the equipment." And they had to return it. And I got the court documents. I have all the pictures, and I'm going to put them out there all over the place.
Oh my God, that's good stuff. Sorry, I was just checking.
Isn't that beautiful? These self-righteous, miserable sons of bitches come here and yell at me for yawning when she stole a 92-year-old woman's farm equipment. Really? And that's neighbor and Briggs's pillar of the community. That's why I didn't want her on the planning board. He literally voted to put her on the planning board. He actually argued with Bobby O'Brien on video on video about it, and I wouldn't put her there. Listen,
Right.
morally and ethically, she's
Perhaps compromised. Let's put it that way.
Compromised.
Let's
Yeah.
let
Yeah.
the freedom variant help you with your selection of language, Brian. That's all I'm asking. You know
I'm
what I mean? Like
I'm
there's-
doing barely. I don't even think I had one F-bomb tonight.
you had one, but only one, which is pretty cool. All right. So check this out, Brian. We've actually been doing this for over an hour. I know that's hard to believe because these things fly.
Dude, I could go on for 3 more hours. How about
that? Let me give you an opportunity to talk about some of the other, I would say, inefficiencies or corruption or other stuff that you have found while working as a town councilman for Hartford.
All right, let's talk about follow-up. Follow along. What they refer to in the government is follow along, where you actually bring up a topic one meeting and you actually follow up with it another meeting, and you don't stop with it until it's resolved. My very first meeting in January, you can go back to those minutes too. My very first meeting, the board goes, okay, and it's time to appoint our lawyer for the year of this 2025. I said, whoa. I said, this was my very first board meeting. I said, this is how you do this? I said, don't we talk about it a little bit? Because to be perfectly honest, in my personal opinion, our lawyer blows. He sucks. I haven't gotten beaver law out of him. I haven't gotten anything out of him. He sucks. And long story short, they knew I was going to go there with it. So they never brought it up again. How is he even representing the town? We never appointed him. How are we even paying him? How are they paying him with taxpayer money? We never, as a board, reappointed him. Never went back. How's that happen?
So that's the kind of thing that cannot be understated, that this level of, let's just write it off as incompetence, that things go on the way that they have been to the benefit of whomever and however they want. It's an amazing situation. It's a no bid contract, and that's particularly concerning. That there's a process that's been ignored.
We didn't even make it a contract. We were supposed to, but they let that go. I don't even know how to pay them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Under what authority do they have the right to write him checks then?
Right. I mean, I don't know who's signing it. I'm not signing it. I don't know who's signing his check. I don't know how he's getting his money. All I know is he's in, from what I understand, for $25,000 for a year. Here's another one I really like. So they passed that Whitehall Doctrine years ago, and you guys all heard about this. They passed a law so the board member can do a job for the town when we can't find anybody.
Oh, okay. That's convenient.
Yeah. So Briggs is still servicing our water for $10,000 a year. And I literally got into a big battle with him going, listen, when are we going to bid this water? Oh, you want me to resign? I'll resign. You want me to resign? And Marcuson, like a little child, going, oh, see what you did, you little jerk. In the middle of a fire department meeting, both firehouses were sitting outside the building and heard them screaming at me. By the way, folks, it took me 10 minutes. Look up the New York State website. 85 certified water guys in the county. You did have someone. They fired them. They manipulated you. They lied to you.
To take advantage of a law that they wrote that allows
they had to
people
they had to write the law. They literally told everybody, we have no one. We're going to have to give it to Mr. Briggs. But before we do that, we're going to have to pass the Whitehall Doctrine. It was a lie. They had Grant Ward for 40 years, an amazing man, an awesome man, knows his shit like no tomorrow. They had Sean Robinson. They got rid of them both. Just to tell you, we got no one to service the water. Look on the state website for water certified people. There's 85 in our county. All right, they're
Wow.
liars. They're manipulators. They're thieves, in my opinion.
Okay, I like what you're doing. um,
And you know what? I
it's
wouldn't
very exciting. I
wouldn't
think
be
that
able to say it if I didn't get in it. If
right.
I didn't get in, I will give everybody the 4 years I committed to them. I don't want to do this. This is disgusting.
Yeah.
And but I wanted to prove to myself that what I was seeing, not being in it, is exactly what I was seeing. And it's exactly what I'm seeing. You know, they have $2 million saved up.
All right.
Yeah,
Tax break.
taxation without representation. Exactly what we ran on last time.
All right.
Tell you they need your money, and then they put it in the savings account. They
That
don't get
is such a dangerous situation to have a big pile of money where people can create a reason to spend it on lawn care or their
green,
cousin's
green,
business or something like that.
green waste piles, EV chargers,
Oh,
dumpsters.
EV chargers. How
Oh
many
yeah,
people own electric vehicles in the town of Hartwick? Do you have any idea?
it's a common topic in our town.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's a common topic for
Okay.
the 10 EV for the 10 EV cars we have registered in Hartwick.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We got to
You know,
have them.
listen, common sense and logic has to prevail. All right. And working for the military has a program. They put them in all their new parking lots, and not one of those damn things work. They last around 6 months and they go dead. Who's going to pay for it then? You want the taxpayer to pay that too? The service? You don't have any clue what you're even talking about. And you want the taxpayer to pick that tab up? You're nuts.
Yes.
This,
They do.
This dumpster stuff, this whole thing about the dumpsters. Now they want cameras. I told Meg Kennedy right to her face, come up with the money. You want it? Come up with the money. Unfunded mandates, not my thing.
Oh, I love that because let me jump in for a second and talk about
Yeah.
unfunded mandates, right? Where the New York State Virtue Board, a Senate and Assembly make laws and rules and then tell towns what they're supposed to do through taxing their residents of electrical vehicle chargers, like green waste piles, all sorts of,
Don't forget
building renovations,
operating.
things like this that they make laws, they force the virtue onto you, and then it gets distributed around all of the people who don't really have the money. Upstate New York is in an economic doldrum. It's a conundrum. It's kind of a mess that all of the improvements we're seeing are coming from the government, and they're going to be long-term taxation burdens on
They are.
people on fixed incomes, the lower middle class, and young people who are fleeing this area for lives in other areas. It's something that we are not dealing with adequately, and we've been warning about it for years, bud.
I'll go back to that $9 a pound for cream cheese.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say. $9 a pound for cream cheese. And you're gonna vote for the same idiot that made that happen.
Yeah. Hey, look, I've got a tough little question here because I don't know. Like, let's see. My buddy Legacy Zach wants to know your take on using blockchain technology as an alternative in more private arranged value assessment in real estate. What do you think about that? I'm like, I have no idea what he's talking about. I do know.
I don't know what he's doing blockchain, technology.
I do know that Zach is an alternative currency guy, that he's leans towards anarchy, and that he has some interesting ideas. I think this may be kind of like an opportunity to plug some of the work he's doing on X, where he's actually going and meeting with people in a public forum and talking about alternatives to the current currency system.
So let me write into that. I don't have stocks. I don't buy Bitcoin. I invest in nothing the government has any potential manipulation in.
All right.
Not one stock. I buy silver dollars. I'll buy gold coins. I'll buy stamps.
All right.
I'll put them in my safe. Most of my money gets reinvested in my community. Every time I clean another spot, my neighbor's property goes up.
I think that cannot be overstated. That's something that we kind of glossed over. You've made substantial investments in the town of Hartwick.
Well,
Substantial,
according to the
impressive
they
investments.
they don't know how to read the county website. It's around 20 pieces of property. You know,
Wow.
these aren't big purchases. Not. I mean, look at the condition of these places. They haven't seen a coat of paint in 60 years.
Right,
And
right.
clean it up. You make it adorable again. You make it that Norman Rockwell look, and then they bitch and moan that you cleaned it up.
Yeah, I was born in Hartwick. Well, not born when I was was I born there?
Mm-hmm.
No, when shortly after I was born, we moved to Hartwick, and I lived down over the little bridge, in the White House. That basically the house is in shambles now, but that was I don't know. I'm like only 30, so that was like 30 years ago.
Curtibees.
Yeah.
I own that house. It's being demolished Monday.
Oh, really?
It's dude, the roof, they've let it once again, another Hartwick story.
Yeah.
You know, the roof's been collapsed in for 10 years. When I tell you, I mean, just cleaning it out, I went through the floor twice myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you find any pictures of tiny TMO, like make sure you get them to me. All right, because it might be there.
I have some very old pictures in the office. Sarah has them.
Oh, wow. I'd love to take a look at them. I'd love to.
I saved a lot of that stuff. I found the 1776 plate of Hartwick with all the 3 churches on it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
All right.
Someone had a very fanatical fetish for stamp collections. When I tell you I have stamp collections, 500,000 stamps.
Wow.
From George Washington. Did you know a stamp? If it was a 1.5 cent stamp, it was George Washington and Martha. The women were only considered 1/2 stamp, 1/2 a cent.
We were such sexists back then.
I know, we were such pigs. So, yeah, no, it was that was interesting. The rest is it was all broken junk, books that were moldy and stuff that you couldn't imagine. It was disgusting. So it's clean. It's I have my demo permits, everybody.
Are you properly insured, Brian? Are they going to work according to all of the FEMA and New York DEC regulations? Like if I drive past there and I don't see a silt fence up, I am calling. I'm calling Stanford DEC, buddy. I just want to be clear.
We're going to leave the foundation there because the foundation is very lovely. You know, I got Daddy Dixon going in there with the big machine. That man's maestro with a machine.
All right, cool.
So he'll pull that off very nicely. Put that in a dumpster by Tuesday. It'll be done.
All right, that's awesome. So, our friend Tracy DeLello's out there. She's wondering what we missed. You missed a lot, Brian spilled the beans on the whole issue. Some of the major issues in Hartwick. He got to talk about the water board. He got to talk about some physical confrontations and intimidation, some attempts at filing inappropriate FEMA paperwork. It was a very exciting show. You know, Brian is passionate. You know that, Tracy. It's why we love him. And he did a great job, like explaining. We even had one of the people that complained about Brian making comments on the show. And again, I think we should all thank her for having the guts to be here and perhaps getting to know her community a little bit better and what Brian's goals are. I think that in and of itself, it may not turn out well, but it gave me a little bit of hope, Brian, to be honest with you.
Not for nothing. It's not that am I non-accessible on social media?
No, you're very accessible.
Right. Why didn't someone that, like Joanne, when she became fearful, where did she get that from? Why didn't she contact me? You could have asked me what I meant.
I don't know, man. Fear never pops into my mind when I think of you. You know what I mean? It's just not there.
They screenshot stuff from my page, conversations, joking about it. Do I think they're stupid for wanting this to continue for our country? Yes, I think you're dumb. But at the same time, it's my sport. This is my time of year. I don't watch baseball. I don't watch football. I don't watch hockey. I hunt and I politic, but I don't politic. You know, it's fun. Is Cody Anderson on this?
He
tonight.
hasn't been out there. I'm a little disappointed. He's going to probably watch it at a later date because
He-
I know he loves you, bro. I know that.
He wrote me a message the other night. He goes, "You know why you're my favorite politician?" He said, "Because you're not a politician," and I'm not.
Yeah, that's
Actor.
correct.
I can build things for you. My wife can make them beautiful, but I
There you
can
go.
build them. I can get things done. It doesn't have to take 3 years to get something done in the government. Anybody that says, it's moving at a government's pace, it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't.
Look, as a libertarian, that's one of the areas where you and I absolutely overlap. If we're going to have a government, its goal is to be a service organization, that it's supposed to do things effectively and efficiently and for the good of the people. And I want less of it, Brian. I want way less of it. I want none of it. But go ahead.
People. Whatever.
All right. Another comment from my buddy Legacy Zach. Taxation is theft, regardless of representation. And he's right. And so what kind of levels of theft are we going to tolerate? And are guys like Bryan LoRusso potentially an answer? Is getting involved in your local town board to have at least a watchdog going over this situation, exposing things that look inefficient, that are possibly corrupt, and that are definitely incompetent? That's the kind of guy you need on your local town board, period.
Do you know, I actually believe truly in my heart that people put me here to do exactly this.
All right, man. All right.
My story has not changed from 4 years ago to right tonight. I'm here to watch their best interest. And their best interest is not being served. It's being abused.
So we've got Jonathan Scala out there. Go get him, Bryan LoRusso. US. I love that stuff, man. Let's give a shout out to a bunch of supporters that are making comments right now. Brian and I are going to be getting off here pretty quick. So get some more comments in. We'll do some direct responding to them
just so you know, I don't see any of these comments until you put them up. So
it's because you're on your phone. You need to bring a laptop with you next time. All right.
I didn't know it was going to happen. I didn't plan it like the hit parade in Hartwick.
Tracy, number one, you can rewatch this on my free solution on Spotify, on my YouTube channel, on Facebook. It's going to be available right on my page. I decided to not use the Freedom Variant page anymore, that my direct personal page is where I'm going to be doing these things. So you can rewatch the whole thing. I'm glad that you're here now. I've always enjoyed our interactions. So we've got some more comments. First time seeing the show. This is a compliment to me. Thank you, Jonathan. I appreciate it. But look, Brian makes the show. Guys, every Wednesday night, though sometimes on Tuesday at around 9 o'clock, I go live to talk about politics. This show gets rebroadcast on a radio station out of Rochester, WYSL. Kevin and I cover politics. We cover local news. We cover things that we feel are important to offer a libertarian perspective on. Now, what is libertarianism? Who knows? You're going to get a million different answers from a million different libertarians. It's why we're unsuccessful as a political party. But when we talk with love and appreciate people like Brian, who are doing the actual hard job of offering people representation, holding other politicians accountable. Guys like Thomas Massey, guys like Mike Lee, guys like Rand Paul, like guys that descended from Ron Paul. These are the things that we are talking about regularly, that we find to be important, to paint a different picture of the military industrial complex, to paint a different picture of how we should look at wars, how we should look at GDP. The growth in GDP has all been from inflation and the broken windows fallacy. It's stuff that we cover regularly on the show. All right, Samantha Gray, because you're a rich man with a machine gun, you made a little noise about that. Don't comment. No comments. Leave that one alone.
That was a so Emma Uff, I went down for some coffee and she wrote on my coffee one morning, rich man with a machine gun. By the way, folks, just because the federal, just because I have an FFL doesn't mean I have any machine guns in Hartwick.
It actually would decrease the likelihood of you having a machine gun because your FFL is a very valuable piece of licensure from the government that costs a lot of money. Right?
And I am allowed to have them. I don't have them. I don't need them.
Right.
Would I want one? Sure, but I don't need it. I have all my hunting rifles. Everything's legal. you know, all that hype about all those guns out on the street. The only guns out on the street that aren't legal are in criminals' hands.
Correct.
I've never bought a gun in my life, my whole life, and I've been buying them my whole life, that didn't get a background check. Never.
Same.
Right.
Like it's always been that way for me. And I don't know.
It's like, you know, it's like, oh, he threatened us. No, I didn't.
A machine gun existing is not a threat to you unless you consider the U.S. military a threat to you, because all those dudes got machine guns. You see what I mean? Like, well, and every local police station has a machine gun of some sorts, automatic weaponry. So everybody can just relax.
Yeah.
So who doesn't want to hunt? Answer: Progressive Soys. Yeah, well, okay, fair enough, Zach. Brian Hoyt's out there. Thank you, Brian. That's why they hate Trump. He's not a politician. He's not. I agree with that.
Before, I'm literally seeing the Trump derangement syndrome right in Hartwick.
It's everywhere. Okay. I look, like I said, Brian, I don't like Trump. I think we could do better as a society. Like, he's not my favorite guy in the world. Arguably, I'm very sympathetic to the people that want Trump to be president, because I understand what they want and I understand what their goals are. But
I want cream cheese back at $4.35 a pound.
Well,
I want gas at $4.68 a gallon. I want interest rates back at 2.5.
All right.
I want that for my children, my daughter. I want that for my grandchildren. I want that for your children.
That's beautiful, man.
You
Betty
want
Staffen says you got this, Brian. You got this.
You want the best part about this? The best part about this, here's a little message to my Democrat friends. Your party spends so much money. I had the best year I ever had in 20 years. How's that?
Oh, that's going to leave a mark.
Thank you. Listen, to me, it doesn't matter. I work for the government. It's very regulated.
Right.
The best part is you spend like drunken sailors pissing away all of our money. And that's what you got. All you did is make me wealthier. How's that feel?
Oh, that's great, man. That's great.
Yep.
That is great. All right. So we got a few more comments.
Betty Staffen.
Yeah, Betty Staffen was out there. She said, you got this, Brian. Sandy Smith Swatling. Great job, Brian. Give him hell. Love it.
Sandy's awesome. Thank you for Sandy.
Valerie Barrett, you got this. Timothy Shore, he just caused another meltdown. Our friend Shelly Schultz, great friend of the show, very regular participant, always appreciated. She just, thank you, Betty. Great show as expected. Or thank you, Shelly. Great show as expected. I appreciate it. Tracy's promising to check out the show later. We appreciate that. That's important. Remember to likes, the comments, the shares, guys. And if you can, send a few stars to Tim O'Connor, the Freedom Variant. Please do that. It's a few pennies out of your pocket to help me inspire and present good content like Bryan LoRusso. All right. I love it.
Tim, I do want to take a minute and thank you for allowing me to say and share the truth.
Absolutely, brother. My God, man.
Every bit of what we said tonight, I'll be glad to put on social media, send it to you. And in the meantime, you want to see what that lawyer said? Please foil the town board.
Fantastic. That should be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Our friend Shelly's out there. Shelly and Warren love Tim and Brian. Make America great town by town. We're trying, man. We're trying. Brian's putting in way more effort than me, guys. I got to be honest. Like, I do a radio show because I love it. I love to talk. I get a dopamine rush. It's beautiful. That's my hopeful contribution moving forward through this. Guys like Brian, who do the real work, are the guys that deserve the kudos, the props, the thank yous. Like, they just deserve it, man. Legacy Zach gives a little breakdown of the show. Kevin covers the political news cycle, and he's my safety net, man. He keeps me from like you don't know how hard it is for me, Brian, to not just be the guy going, yeah, go, rah. Like, Kevin's always there. Like, I'm ready to dive off a cliff, and he's like, just hold up a second, Tim. Just slow down a second. Like, let's have a conversation about this. It's perfect.
The show, he seems to be grounding.
Yes, he is the grounding.
You know what I like about it? This, once again, guys, we're supposedly 100% Republican board. what are all these radical liberals coming out for a supposed conservative Republican?
Yeah.
You really need to pay attention to who's doing what. I'm trying to stop the wasted money, and he's promoting the wasted liberal programs.
Yeah.
And that's who came out. That's who came out. While the Republicans, this is why it's a uniparty.
It is a uniparty, bro.
Right.
It is.
Right. You got a Republican. Well, you got a fake Republican going, hey, I'm a Republican. Yet, don't worry. I'm going to buy you your green waste piles. I'll spend the money on those dumpsters. Don't worry.
It's amazing.
If those dumpsters were saving the planet, tell me what happened in North Carolina and Tennessee last month.
Whew, man, what a mess.
What a mess.
What a mess.
You've been hearing from Al Gore for 30 years. We'd be underwater by now.
It's a fib. It's a fib, and it's a paranoid thing. Here's a Trump policy, guys, that like I do always try to push back on Trump support. Unlimited low-cost energy is a solution to all of the world's crises, okay? Yes, we got to use it cleanly. Yes, we've got to use it responsibly. Yes, all of those things are true. But energy lifts people out of poverty and brings opportunity to the world. Period.
Small footprint nuclear sites all over the place will
mounted
absolutely end all of our power problems.
Truck mounted nuclear power, bro. We'll be developing up on the top of hills in Appalachia, you know?
Yep.
It'll be awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, Brian Hoyer wants to go back to cheaper food, man. I get it. I get it. The issue is we can do it with good, clean access to cheap energy. We can do it. Robert Croft, great job, Brian.
Robert Croft is a good man. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for joining us, Robert.
Yeah, so here's a little more clarity from somebody that was participating in the conversation. Lynetta Mould, Joanne Gardner, what the trolls taking the screenshots didn't show you was he also commented on that in that section that he was going to send thank you notes to Harris voters for our country going under if Harris gets elected. He didn't threaten any harm to those that have those signs. I think that I read what you said, man. It wasn't a threat. So that's that. Nicely said, Brian.
Thank you, Lynetta. Thank you so much for that. Listen, guys, I don't want you guys coming to defend me at these board meetings. I certainly don't want you going after Briggs. Let my lawyers go after Briggs. I'll go after Briggs. You don't have to do what these children did to me. Please.
Oh, fantastic, Brian. That's a great message, right? You're going to take care of this. That's representation.
I'll handle this. I'll handle it. But I do love you all for it.
Yeah, and likewise. And on that note, small nuclear, the way to go. We're all in agreement. Bryan LoRusso, I just want to, despite some bad luck with your health, despite the fact that you have a business to run, you are going the extra step to represent the people of Hartwick. And bro, you thanked me, but you're an inspiration. I want some of my friends on Twitter who are excited about decentralizing the power to rewatch this show, take tips from you, and realize that what you've done in Hartwick can be done all over the country, all over.
If you can't, how can you help your state if you can't help your town? How? You can't. It's impossible. You have to be able to help your town. You know, if we make a difference in Hartwick, maybe it'll happen in Lawrence. Maybe it'll happen and that's what they're going to hate. Get rid of these creatures, folks. You vote for them. Know who you're voting for.
A dude that is actually draining the swamp. Thank you very much, Bryan LoRusso. I appreciate your time.
All right. Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.